My name is Dr. Tisha Evans, and with me is
Carson Raquel.
And we want to welcome you to Be Well, a show created by Your Therapy Now. So today, Carson, we're going to be talking about
communication style.
Yes.
What kind of communicator are you? I can't say it. That might be the first step. Can you actually communicate? So Dr. Evans, what are the styles of communication?
Yes, so there are different styles of communication. One, we have passive. The next, we have passive aggressive. The third is aggressive. And then the fourth one, which we're going to really be encouraging all of you to try to strive for, is assertiveness. And so people ask, okay, what is passive style of communication, right? You might hear, oh, she is so passive or he is so passive. And so when the word passive communication style is used, it's really referring to needs. So I would like everyone to think about it in terms of the concept of needs. So when you are coming from a passive stance of communication, you're really saying your needs matter and mine don't, right? And so when you get your needs met and I don't, that can stir up a lot of bitterness, and it can also make people feel like they don't have a voice, and also too it can make people feel like they're getting taken advantage of. And so and you know, and that's not good. No one likes to feel like they're getting taken advantage of. And so when you're in that stance, you're not getting your needs met. And so sometimes people then tend to, you know, go across the line to passive aggressive, where you coming across as passive, but then you taking the backdoor route of aggressive, right? So for instance, say if I'm the passive aggressive style, you ask me, oh, Dr. Evans, you know, you over my house today. Can you cut those bushes and help me out? And I say to you, well, Carson, I surely can. I can cut them bushes knowing good well I don't want to cut them bushes, right? So I go ahead with my cutters and I cut your bushes, but I cut them all the way down to the root.
And now we got to fight.
That's not cool, right? And so instead of me saying, Carson, I don't want to cut your bushes, or maybe can I cut your bushes a different time, I say yes. So that's the passive part. But then me going the back route and cutting them in a way I know you wouldn't like them, that's an aggressive route. And that can cause a lot of conflict, right?
So does that come from people who were passive and weren't getting their needs met, and they don't know how to overcome that, and so now that's the bitterness working in it?
So it can come from different reasons, but that's definitely one where it's like, oh, this person's not gonna get my needs met, so I'm not gonna even ask, right? But I'm really upset. So even though I'm bitter, I don't want to communicate it, but that's when the aggressive part comes. Yes.
Okay. Interesting.
And then you got the third one, which is aggressive, right? So this is where my needs matter and yours doesn't. So you will find people in this communication style where they can come off as a bulldozer, right? Whereas my needs matter, what I say goes, you know, whatever you want, I'm not considering it because I got to get my needs met at any cost. And so you can see with that too, that also causes a lot of conflict because I'm not respecting the other person, right? So can you imagine, like, if I was aggressive to you all the time, like, how would you feel?
I wouldn't talk to her anymore.
She sure wouldn't. You cut me out. Yes, right? So you start to not have healthy relationships. So aggressive style of communication, even though you maybe get what you need, you're probably going to find that your relationships are not healthy. And so those are three communication styles. But the fourth one that I really want to highlight is being assertive. And what assertiveness is about is your needs matter and my needs matter. And how can we come to a middle ground to have both our needs met? And even sometimes the outcome may not always be what you desired. At least the way you're communicating is what's really important. I gotta highlight that because sometimes people feel like, well, if I'm assertive and I express my needs and they still don't get met, what was the point? And the point is that part of healthy communication is you have to walk away feeling like I am proud of the role I played in that communication. Rather you respond in the way I need you to, it's regardless of that. It's about, am I communicating in a way where it's healthy for me?
I can see how even in my own life, I have gone through each of those styles. And I've felt the effects of them in different ways, like being more passive and just saying, okay, you know, I can concede to your needs right now because maybe I feel like it's easier. So forget about my needs and be more passive. And then recognizing, like, I'm tired of being passive. I'm going to try to be nice. But then I really don't like it. So I've cooked people meals and been like, I don't want to pick this food and throw it, you know, to them. And so it's not really nice. And it's clear that it's something I didn't want to do. And then doing that consistently pushed me into a space of where I felt like I needed to be more aggressive. Like, well, now I'm upset because being nice doesn't work in my communication. And so now I'm just going to be aggressive and just, this is what it is. So I don't care. Don't care about you. I don't care about what you think you want. I care about me, and I'm going to get what I want. And if I don't, oh well, bye, who cares what happens to you? And to where I've had to mature and recognize my own issue. Like, that was my issue, that I wasn't communicating properly. And needing to be able to grow out of that. I've even had issues where I have not communicated properly to Dr. Evans, and she is just so emotionally intelligent that she can handle that and bring me right back and teach me proper ways to communicate and advocate for myself. And so what is a practical way that I can learn to move from maybe passive aggressive or aggressive to assertive communication?
I think the first part is asking yourself, what is it that I need? You know, so many people go throughout their day not once asking what they may need from themselves, what they may need from others during that day, or even in that situation where you might have a conflict. Okay, what is it that I need? What type of outcome do I want? And you may not think of it in the moment, and that's okay. You may need to come back to it. And that's something also too that's important to know, is that you may not always have the response that you need in that moment. So it's important to respond and not react. So you may say, you know what? I don't think this conversation is going the way I would hoped it to go. So I'm going to take a few minutes. I'm going to come back, or I'm going to circle back, or can we check back in later so that we can continue this conversation? So you can have time to think about, what is it I need and how can I communicate it? I think that's the biggest step, and being able to say it in a way where the other person can hear it. Because the thing about communication is, you can say something, but if the other person's ears are shut off, they're not going to hear anything. So you got to be mindful of your tone. You got to be mindful of your nonverbals, because nonverbals makes up 90% of our communication. And you have to be mindful of the words you're using. Are you using it in a way where any reasonable person could understand and hear you?
That makes a lot of sense. And so we also have to, I guess, have the first conversation with ourselves. So we can't really communicate properly until we first communicate with ourselves properly. That makes a lot of sense. I have been the person who don't know what I need. like maybe just venting, and I think we've all been there, to where we may have an issue, but we don't really know what we need. We're actually seeking comfort or maybe support, and we might not be able to communicate in the time because we're affected by, maybe if it's pain or frustration, that we're missing out on what we actually want, and so we can't even communicate it well, so we don't get the results that we need. This is good stuff, I tell you. I'm learning, things are connecting, people. I'm putting it together.
Oh, yes. Well, no, I mean, really good questions. And I think this is something that we all can continue to grow. This is not a sprint. It's a marathon. It's a journey. And so a question that we encourage you all to be thinking about this week and just forever is, what style of communicator are you? Are you passive? Are you passive aggressive? Are you aggressive, or are you assertive? And how can you have more times than not where you're exercising being assertive in your communication style?
This is excellent. Thank you, Dr. Evans.
You're welcome.
So we hope to see you next week, or well, you see us next week. And as you go through your week, we hope that you think about these things, put these practical tips into effect, and be well.